Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I'll be cutting a camisole or inner gown. So the materials I'm working with are my scissors, my tape measure, my chalk, my short ruler and my long ruler, my curves, then my fabric. This is 1.5 yard of fabric, and the length of my camisole will be 43 inches. So I folded my fabric into four. This is the open part of the folding and this is the closed part. So to start with, I will mark out a straight line as my starting point. So this is my starting point. So from this line, then I'll start my measurements. I'll chalk out, I will remove 5 inches as if I'm cutting an off shoulder top. So this is my 5 inches. This is where the 5 inches is starting from. Then I'll come down by 7 inches. That is my neckline. The neck depth will depend on the depth of your outer garment. So the outer garment I'm working with, that's what is determining this depth. So you can go as low as 8 inches depending on how deep the neckline of your outer garment is. So this is 7 inches, and the width too is dependent on the width of your neckline. So from that 7 inches, I'll come out, the width of my the wideness of my neckline, I'm working with 3.5 inches. So from the 3.5 inches, I'll connect my line to the 7 inches here. That's just 2 inches if I measure it. So from this point of 3.5 inches, then I'll chalk out 2 inches as my shoulder. So from this 2 inches, this is 5 inches. Then I will now chalk out my armhole measurement. So the armhole measurement I'm working with is 9 inches. So I'll mark out my 9 inches from this part. 9 inches. Then I will chalk out all my vertical measurements. Like my bust is starting from 11 inches plus the half inch sewing allowance here, that is 11.5 for the bust. For the half length measurement is 16 plus half inch sewing allowance here is 16.5, and the hip measurement I'm working with is 25 inches plus half inch, that is 25.5. So this is my hip line, this is my half length, and this is my bust length. So then I'll mark out a straight line for the length of my camisole. So I'm using everything, so I'll just chalk out my straight line. So my measurements will be multiplied. I will add 2 inches to all my measurements as is, to make my fabric easy to wear. So the bust line I'm working with is 39 inches divided by 4. So the bust line I'm working with is 39 inches. 39 inches divided by 4, that is 9.75. So I'll mark out my 9.75. Then I'll add 2 inches as is, and I can decide to add 1 inch too because the fabric is a little bit stretchy, and then half inch for the sewing allowance. So my half waist measurement or half length measurement is 33. 33 divided by 4 is 8.25. I will chalk out my 8.25 plus 1 inch is plus half inch sewing allowance. So I'll connect it to this part. Then my hip is 43 divided by 4, 10.75. I'll chalk out my 10.75 plus 1 inch for the ease and half inch for the sewing allowance. So I'll connect my markings to avoid giving me a bulgy effect on the hip part. I'll make sure I don't go in too much. So I'll just and I'll connect it to the down part diagonally. I'm slanting my ruler, so I'll just connect it diagonally like this. You see, I avoided the hip line. I avoided the hip line from giving me a bulgy effect. So this is my choppings. So I'll just make the armhole effect here. It's my freehand sketch. I can decide to make use of my French cuff, but it's not really necessary. I can use my freehand, and for my neckline too, I'll use my French cuff to make a round neckline. So I'll cut out my markings and show you the next step. So after this is my cutout. I've cut out my markings, the closed part, the opened part. So the next thing to do now is to cut out the shoulder stripe that will be connected, that will serve as the shoulder. So the measurement I'll be working with is 10 inches by 2 inches. So you know I removed 5 inches, so I'll cut out the exact 5 inches, which will give me 10 inches without folding and 5 inches unfolding. So I'll cut out that my 10 inches by 2 inches like this, 2 inches unfolding and 10 inches as the length. So I'll cut that out and show you the next thing. So this is my shoulder stripe, 10 inches by 2 inches unfolding. So I'll turn it as if I'm turning a belt. I'll join it by this side and turn it to the right side. Then I'll join it to the 2 inches I left for the shoulder part. So this is the 2 inches part. So after turning the neckline and the armhole, what will be left out won't be up to 2 inches, and after turning this one too, it won't be up to 2 inches. So I'll just join it to this from the front part to the back part. It will serve as the shoulder stripe. So I'll take this to my machine and sew it. Then I'll come back to show you the final outcome. So this is my camisole after joining with my sewing machine. This is the shoulder stripe. I turned it with the like a belt, and I connected it after hemming my neckline and my shoulder line at my armhole line. So this is the outcome. I've joined the sides. The next thing to do now is to knitting the rough edges. I'll knitting it, and then my camisole is ready. This is it. This is the look. I opened 2 slits at the side for easy working. You can decide to close yours. I decided to open mine. So this is the final look. I will go and do the finishing and show you the final outcome of my camisole.